Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at Fighting Blind.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Fair fun starts on Metro Transit. Instead of driving, park your car for free at one of 6 express bus sites and take a non-stop air-conditioned ride straight to the Minnesota State Fair. Or take one of the 3 regular bus routes that serve the fairgrounds. Learn more at metrotransit.org/state-fair. That's metrotransit.org/state-fair.
Culture prevents so many negative things from happening to us as individuals and as communities.
Strong roots begin with a healthy heart. For Indigenous women, heart health is part of caring for community, culture, and future generations. Even small steps can help protect what matters most. Discover ways to support your heart at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats, because your heart beats for generations. Hey, this is Robert Pilot, host of Native Roots Radio. The Minnesota State Fair is more than food on a stick. It's a chance to celebrate Native culture and voices. On August 31st and September 1st, Native folk and blues rocker Keith Sokola and the Rangers, with special guest Gary Farmer, play the prize stage at 8 p.m. both nights. This concert is free with fair admission. The State Fair runs August 27th through September 7th. Get your tickets at mnstatefair.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 60, then Thursday, sunshine with a high of 82. The Great Wall has been your home for Chinese favorites since 1981. Don't miss the sesame chicken, mushu pork with Chinese pancakes, or Peking duck. Stop in at the restaurant on France Avenue and 45th Street along the Minneapolis-Edina City line, or check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be Indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, we got a couple guests today here. We got Holly coming up here in just a moment, and we're going to talk about what's happening in Indian country, and I know Holly was down at some great, Lieutenant or State Senator Mary Kunish talked about it too, that the big gala. I'd like to know how she survived that and talk about that. But before we get there, I just want to remind everyone we're going to be live at the fair tomorrow. Native Roots Radio is going to be live at the fair tomorrow at the West End Market at the Native Roots Trading Post. Native Roots Trading Post store. So we'll be right there. And earlier on, there'll be Matt McNeil will be out there. And then early on, 2 o'clock, the Gailey Show will be there. So we got a jam-packed fun fair coming up too. And that makes me think too, I want to just give out some fair tickets here if people are listening. So if you 952-946-62 62 what who's a producer again? What's the number? 952. I used to have that memorized. 952-946-62 well, I'll get back with the number here in a second. And again, we're having a lot of good things happening, and you guys heard the ad prior to this too, that Keith Secola and Gary Farmer are going to be there Monday and Tuesday at the State Fair, and also Sunday is an Indigenous Peoples Day, and so we'll be down there circling for tabling for the Circle magazine. So really excited, and I love the fair. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring Holly on and welcome her to the show. Great to see you. Thank you so much for coming on as always, and just love talking to you and finding out what's happening here nationally. And so take it away. Thank you so much. Introduce yourself to our great audience out here.
Ani and Buju, Robert, it's good to see you. My name is Holly Cook Maccaro, and I'm from the Red Lake Nation and currently residing on my husband's reservation down in Southern California, which is where I'm visiting with you from today.
Wow, awesome. I appreciate that. Are you going to be able to come up for the State Fair, the great get together? I know we're excited to see the Lieutenant Governor walking around doing her thing. She loves the fair just as much as I do.
And that's a lot then, if you love it as much as she does.
Right.
So yes, I hope to make it up there. I plan on going up to Red Lake for the Obashing Powwow over Labor Day, and stopping at the State Fair during that time as well. I too love the State Fair and all that goes along with it. And hopefully I can run into you and catch some time with the Lieutenant Governor there as well.
Well, so let's catch up here. There's a lot going on here in Indian country, and I know you're really plugged in. So I love following you on social media and what you and your husband and the organizations that you work with are doing. So if you don't mind, give us a big update of what you've been up to.
I think the probably plastered all over folks' social media in the last week or so was all of the pictures and updates from the happenings at Indian Market, which is always such a fabulous event down in Santa Fe. And it was this year as well. I was there with Indigenous House, which hosted some spectacular events, starting with a women's breakfast on Friday morning in collaboration with Christian Allaire, the Anishinaabe fashion writer for Vogue, who hosted a sit-down kind of fireside chat with our favorite former cabinet secretary and current leading candidate for governor in the state of New Mexico, Deb Haaland. And it was really an extraordinary room, this women's breakfast. I looked around and I thought there was so much energy and representation from tribes all across the country, women who were really accomplishing things, really active in their communities, leading voices, thought leaders, et cetera. And it was an extraordinary women's breakfast and a great way to kick off Indian Market Weekend. There were a lot of SWAYA events going on, from the Best of show. And as always, the artwork and crafts were extraordinary. We also hosted on Saturday what we called the Res Honky Tonk. And it was a lot of fun. There were hundreds of people that joined us on the rooftop of the Fonda Plaza, and really just kind of shared a really good space and conversation and community with each other. So that was really fun. We also hosted Jane Myers and Chauncey Peltier and Cyrus Peltier, the son and the grandson of Leonard Peltier. We hosted a small exhibit with about 20 of Leonard Peltier's paintings in one of the galleries there just off the plaza. And it was the first time that there's been a gallery showing of Leonard's paintings. And it was the first time that his son and his grandson were able to be there as well. Unfortunately, Leonard was not able to join as his furlough request. As you know, he remains under some degree of federal supervision under the auspices of his grant of clemency, which says that he is serving out the remainder of his sentence under home confinement. So his furlough request was denied and Leonard was not able to join. But it was still a good showing and really nice to be able to have his paintings there as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I heard rumors, talked to the family when Leonard was up in Minneapolis that there may be a New York showing too. Or am I starting bad rumors here as I've been known to do? Oh, wow.
You're good at starting those rumors. No, it is that's actually folks should be seeing this coming out in the news. It did make news earlier this year when Netflix bought the Free Leonard Peltier documentary. And so it will begin streaming on October 12th. It'll begin streaming globally on October 12th, which is Indigenous Peoples Day. And they are hosting a premiere event, red carpet type of event in New York City on October 1st. So those plans are coming together, and it'll show in theaters for a couple of weeks. And they're hosting, some panels and whatnot that we'll participate in, and then everyone will be able to see it on Netflix beginning October 12th.
That's fabulous. And one of the things we saw it up here in Minneapolis, and I think you were on a little while ago and talking about that there is a updated ending or a different ending that I saw. Is that true?
Let's see. I'm trying to think which ending you saw, but this film, as Jane Myers will say, who was, the well-known Comanche, she was producer and filmmaker. She was the creative producer on Free Leonard Peltier, and she says this is the first movie I've ever made where there were 3 different endings. And the first version, Leonard was granted clemency on January 20th, and the film premiered at the Sundance Film Festival on January 27th. So they had 1 week to add in a little. It at first ended the first ending was after his parole was denied in July of 2024. And then they added on his grant of clemency for the Sundance version. And then they added on the third version, which I think you might have seen, was when, bringing him home and showing some footage of him in his home back up at Turtle Mountain. So there were really 3 versions. The one that shows him back at home is the one that Netflix picked up and will be streaming.
That's exciting, Holly. I just realized we're about to take a break here. That this is going to be a Red Lake Nation show. We're going to have Bob Blake from Red Lake on after you.
I saw that.
I just realized that. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. A lot more to talk about. This is Native Roots Radio. Ho!
Maintaining our health, particularly our heart health, is very important to us as a family.
Your heart gives you time with family, time with community, time to pass down what matters. Protecting your heart helps keep those moments alive. A visit with a healthcare provider can be one step toward a healthier future. Learn more at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats. Your heart health is essential because your heart beats for generations.
Fair fun starts on Metro Transit. Instead of driving, park your car for free at one of 6 express bus sites and take a non-stop air-conditioned ride straight to the Minnesota State Fair. Or take one of the 3 regular bus routes that serve the fairgrounds. Learn more at metrotransit.org/state-fair. That's metrotransit.org/state-fair.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. And we're going to try this again, give out tickets to the Minnesota State Fair. I'm going to give the third caller from 952-946-6205. That's 952-946-6205. Win a 4-pack of Minnesota State Fair tickets for any day, and then also come down and see us at the at the trading post. Again, I want to just give everyone, if you're heading to the show, Minnesota State Fair, find us on the West End Market tomorrow. We'll be live, and stop by. And also, we're giving out Circle magazines that just came fresh off the print today, so they'll be handing out at Native Roots Trading Post, and then of course we'll be handing them out for free, as they always are, at the Indigenous Peoples Day on the 30th. So all day, all state fair, and then also special there. So really appreciate it. Holly, thanks again for coming on. I think we could talk for hours. You have so much going on there. You know, you being part of the movie, you're plugged into a lot of things. So do you have a specific a business, promotional business that you might want to tell people about? Whoops, I'm sorry. You know what? There you go. Okay, go ahead.
I've been doing government affairs and politics in Washington, D.C. for the last just about 30 years. And I have my own firm. It's called The Angle, after the Northwest Angle in Minnesota, which is my favorite place in the world, up at my dad's junky, funky cabin up there. And so that's where I operate out of, and I do political consulting and advocacy and a number of different projects. So that's my home base, and but I usually have a number of different things going on, from both advocacy, which has been kind of my mainstay for the last 30 years in lobbying and advocating for tribal issues and tribal governments across the country, and a number of different pieces, and both tribal specific and broad Indian country issues, and a lot of work in politics. And I also serve on a number of nonprofit boards in Indian country, from Native Forward. I was on the Illuminative board. I work with Indigenous House. I'm on the Native American Hall of Fame. And I also am on the board of the National Wildlife Federation. Just recently joined them as well. And so there's a kind of a lot of different moving parts there. And really, also in this election season, this big midterm election season, supporting Native candidates and Native women candidates in particular.
Yeah, there are quite a few, and that's really exciting, and it's about time. A lot of firsts, Deb Haaland, Lieutenant Governor. There was somebody in Alaska too. I can't remember the
Mary Peltola.
Thank you. And no wonder I can't
Yes.
remember, because that's probably a hard word for me to say. Oh, but
Yes, that is.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was before we started visiting, I was thinking about our conversation, and there's been so much conversation, right, about this historic year with Deb Haaland running for governor, which would be the first Native American woman to lead executive office in a state, as well as the potential to have not just one but two Native American women in the United States Senate, which would be history making. And of course, Sharice Davids, and which has become not as hot of a race, which is such a good thing. She has been so effective in running great campaigns in Kansas there, and is a huge, probably the biggest Democratic force in statewide Democratic politics there. So, but I've been thinking a lot about what these opportunities mean down the road for Indian country, in terms of what sort of advocates we will now have in the United States Senate. In particular, Peggy Flanagan is favored to win in Minnesota. It is really a dead heat, a very competitive race in Alaska. So in talking about what either one of them would bring to the United States Senate, and also looking back at the sort of leadership and legacy of Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell, who we lost last year and sent on this spring, that he set such a really high bar for the sort of advocacy and across the aisle diplomacy and bipartisanship that Indian country really needs. And I see so many opportunities for both Lieutenant Governor Flanagan and Mary Peltola in Alaska. They bring a very different set of values to the United States Senate, and I see them covering very different bases for us. I do fully expect that they would both seek to serve on the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs, but that is the Indian Affairs Committee is what some call a B committee, and so they're not one of the major big full committees. And so I also see Mary Peltola having, given the background of her state, being a natural resource on energy and natural resources, and that really being a focal point for her. And with Lieutenant Governor Flanagan's background on advocating for children and families, and we will, and I expect she will be likely on the health, education, labor, pension, but what we call the HELP committee in the United States Senate. And those opportunities there are great. But we also are going to we need someone on the appropriations committee, which authorizes spending and funds all tribal programs. I don't see either one of them getting on appropriations in the first 2 years of their term, but we have lost some advocates, longtime advocates that were there from Senator Inouye to Senator Feinstein, who was not an advocate in some, but she was always an advocate in her position on the Interior Appropriations Committee. So there's huge opportunities in this new Senate coming up for them, and I'm looking forward to seeing their different forms of leadership.
Well, my Ho-Chunk sister, Charisse, was gerrymandered big time to see this overcome the odds. I really have a good feeling for Alaska too. And polls are so askewed. And I think maybe last time you were on, we were talking about a little bit about, they were saying how close the race was going to be here with Angie Craig and the lieutenant governor, and it was a landslide. And I don't know, polls have not been too accurate the last 10 years.
No, they haven't. And it's well, we saw just last week there was a polling firm that had put out huge numbers in Wisconsin and Michigan, and then last week they said, you know what, we were just kidding. Those were fake, and we just wanted to see what the impacts of polling numbers are on turnout, et cetera. And they've since they closed their doors immediately after making that announcement. But we couldn't rely on that. The polls were wrong in Michigan the week before the election in Minnesota, and it was supposed to be so close after the independent expenditures, the super PAC expenditures against Peggy Flanagan that reached nearly $30 million, and and 70 million. So that was $100 million these folks spent against progressive candidates in Minnesota and Michigan, and lost. So the 20-point win by Peggy Flanagan over Angie Craig, I don't think anyone saw coming. I also, and it was interesting. I don't think that the pollsters really understand what Metro surge did to the citizens of Minnesota, and the sort of gut punch that was to see ICE so aggressive and violent in our own community. And that sentiment and is really hard to measure, and was really a focal point of Lieutenant Governor Flanagan's campaign messaging. So I also, interesting that you bring that up on the polling. It leads me to another thought, that it's been interesting to watch the mainstream media nationally not really know how to handle Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, right? She's come onto this national stage. They saw her at the Democratic National Convention, opening up the convention in a really huge way, very high profile, and there was a reason that she was given that high profile slot. And so really there's not really an opportunity to pigeonhole here. She has worked across the aisle. Her accomplishments are deep, and also being Native, right? And
Yeah.
so watching the national media kind of figure out how to address and treat the lieutenant governor and her accomplishments and her heritages has been interesting. And I think it's going to be really interesting to watch this go down as she continues to win these races.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great points. I just have to say this too, Holly, is I was pleasantly surprised in a really, really good way of what Angie said when she conceded. And it
Yeah.
really made me feel good about being a Democrat.
Absolutely. I thought Congresswoman Craig was more than gracious, and in her words after her loss in the primary election, and that's not an easy thing to do, because it got to be pretty heated there, and she was quick to phone the lieutenant governor that evening and to stand with her and issue a statement the next day and stand with her at the Unity event on that a couple of days later. So I too was really glad to see that. And what has been really remarkable is watching folks like Tina Smith and Elizabeth Warren and all of these progressive Democrats really throw down for Lieutenant Governor Flanagan in this race. I spoke, we're going to miss, as in Indian country, all across the nation is going to miss Senator Tina Smith's advocacy on tribal issues in the United States Senate. And when I spoke with her on election night, I thanked her for all she did. I said, I've never seen anyone do what you've done, for Peggy. And it means so much to our community. This is, a path to history and so emotional for many of us. So it's really been a joy to watch how folks, Peggy's inspired a lot of folks.
Yeah, including all the students I used to have as a teacher. And it's always great for people, our kids, to see people that look like them doing great things. Thank you,
Yes.
Holly, so much. A lot of great information. Yes. We got to do this more often. I really appreciate you and appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely, Miigwech. Happy to join you, Robert.
Right on. Hey, Native Roots Radio, Bob Blake from Red Lake is up next. We'll be right back.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
This is Robert Pilot. At the Great Minnesota Get-Together, Native Voices take center stage on Indigenous Peoples Day at Dan Patch Park, August 30th. A full day of programming showcases Indigenous peoples' interconnectedness through language, culture, art, and food. Enjoy theatrical performances, music, dance, and presentations, along with more than 20 exhibitors from across the state. This is all free with fair admission. Tickets are just $17 at mnstatefair.org through August 26th. That's the Minnesota State Fair, August 27th through September 7th.
Fair fun starts on Metro Transit. Instead of driving, park your car for free at one of 6 express bus sites and take a nonstop air-conditioned ride straight to the Minnesota State Fair. Or take one of the 3 regular bus routes that serve the fairgrounds. Learn more at metrotransit.org/state-fair. That's metrotransit.org/state-fair.
Heart health is more than just the physical well-being. It represents like a foundation of vitality, resilience, and the ability to live fully.
Your heart carries stories of resilience, love, and survival. Caring for your heart means honoring yourself and the generations before and after you. It means protecting your ability to gather, laugh, and be present. Learn more about your heart health at hennepincounty.gov/heart-beats, because your story matters and your heart beats for generations. I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces would like to show you the Dimplex electric fireplaces, available in many styles and ingenious ways to simulate fire and flame. Come see Dimplex electric fireplaces in operation at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. You can create a place for fire everywhere in your home. No need for chimney or gas line or firewood. And you can enjoy a cozy flame all year round because with electric fireplaces, you have the option of having a fire without the heat.
If you've been missing fire in your life, an electric fireplace may be an attractive and smart option. An electric fireplace insert can also be a clever way to bring life to an existing non-functioning fireplace. Enjoy the fireplace as the place in your home to gather together, the place in your home to relax and reflect. Experience the place for fire as the fundamental center of your home.
Come see the Dimplex electric fireplaces at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, 2901 East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 60, then Thursday, sunshine with a high of 82. The Great Wall has been your home for Chinese favorites since 1981. Don't miss the sesame chicken, mushu pork with Chinese pancakes, or Peking duck. Stop in at the restaurant on France Avenue and 45th Street along the Minneapolis-Edina City line, or check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us. ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Oh, this is Dallas Goldtooth, and you're listening to the Native Roots Radio. Hoka, hicha, wecha.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot, and I just got to say, excuse me for a second. I just have to say that we got to give a shout out to our friend from Richfield that won the tickets, James from Richfield. Congratulations. And thanks for listening to AM 950 and Native Roots Radio. Really appreciate that. Also, just got to let everybody know at State Fair, we're going at the West End Market. And I just got a text during the break here that State Senator Mary Kunesh is going to be at our booth Friday with her family and will be on the radio again as she normally is on Friday. So really excited about that. Speaking of excited, I want to bring our friend Bob Blake on, and this has become a Red Lake show. So, hey, welcome, Bob. How are you doing?
This has become a family. You just had my cousin on, Holly Cook. Yeah. Robert, so you have
the same clan, not only the same tribe, but the same clan.
You're getting a family show on today here. Well, that's so great. Holly's wonderful. She's the best. She does so many great things for our people across Turtle Island. Her husband is an amazing advocate. And really just is just wonderful and does really good work for our people. So proud of the both of them and their family, and they just do a lot, Robert. So so awesome you had them on. Hey, Robert, the first, one of the first stories here with the solar bears, with the solar news, is there was this tremendous mudslide in China. I think everybody is seeing this right now and I can't pronounce the province that it's in, but I just want to say it's on the other side of the planet, literally straight down, everybody. But the thing about this is, I think as the climate becomes more and more unstable, you're going to see more and more of these like saturations of water that is picked up from one area where it dries out. And if we could kind of take example of the West Coast, right, where there's a lot of drying that's happening on the West Coast, that moisture is being carried by the atmosphere up in the clouds, and it's like these big lakes, and they come down on the east eastern part of the United States and do a lot of flooding. And we've seen this happen, Robert. But this is kind of the same thing that's happening over there. And this like tremendous mudslide just took out this entire village. And it's pretty dramatic. So I just wanted to let everybody know that, climate change is happening. We have to take action. And this is one of the repercussions of our use of fossil fuels.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring this up, and I'm glad we talk about this because it can be so subtle where people just get, totally, numb to this because it's happening so often, whether it's fires, landslides, really warm weather, all these things that the solar bear has always tried to combat with solar energy and different ways of doing this. So, Bob, I'm just so glad that you bring this up each time you come on.
Yeah, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record, everyone, but the solar bear has been talking about this for a long time, and just we're trying to prepare our communities for the inevitable. There is a windstorm that came down in Indiana and took out a bunch of the power lines and really wreaked havoc and devastation in Indiana. And this town, Robert, is still, thousands of people are still sitting with no power in this area in Indiana. And, and the cuts to FEMA by this administration, by this president, the cuts to, the support that usually comes in by the federal government to help these communities, is not happening, Robert, because, these kids in Doji came in and essentially fired everyone. And so, unfortunately, everyone, we're starting to see the repercussions of this when we make all these massive cuts. And unfortunately, Americans are now suffering for this. So, we can't, Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris warned us about this. She told us what was going to be happening.
Hillary did too.
Hillary did. So I don't know what to tell you, folks. I mean, you've been warned, but anyways, these are things that are going to continue to happen. They're going to get worse. And one of the best things I think everyone can do is just show up at the polls.
Bob, too, I don't want to change this from a solar and the sports news, but, there's been so many cuts. We see planes, we see our military's helicopters crashing every week. I mean, this is what you're talking about, these cuts.
Well, and it's not just these cuts, it's the leadership. When you have incompetent leadership in all of these different departments across this administration, and this starts at the top, everyone. This starts at the top. And when we have the type of leadership and the type of president in this country that, can't find his way out of a box, you know what I mean? This is what happens. And unfortunately, Americans get hurt, they die. And, we're starting to see all the repercussions of an incompetent administration.
I don't like to talk about this, but I'm going to put this out there. Ron Johnson from Wisconsin was born in Minnesota, and Keith Headstead was born in Minnesota. We got to get it together with education back here in Minnesota because it's amazing to see these people sprout up out of nowhere.
Well, and I think it's that the reason why they can't make it in Minnesota, right, is because we do have a lot of smart people here that are in positions that normally would have just been given to these guys because they have the loudest voice in the room, right? And that's what they're mad about, is that they actually have to compete for these positions now, because you do have people that have education now. You have women that have education. And that's always been the crux with these guys, is that they actually have to start competing with people. And that's their big hang up now. So they want to lie, they want to cheat, they want to blame, they want to steal. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. And I'm telling you, America, that's not the America that I grew up in. And that's not the America that I believe that all of us deserve. I think I believe in the values of this country, where if you work hard and your ability to put in the time, that you should be able to be given the opportunities. And unfortunately, these people don't believe in that.
You know, that's the crux of it. It's racism and people feeling that they're being left out and that they're owed something. And hard work is, you just hit it on the nose here, where we're at in this country.
Yeah, I mean, Robert, I think we can see time and time again here, in a lot of these stories, especially and what's really maddening is the attempt to like rewrite our history, to like take away, and especially a lot of these folks that have worked hard all their lives have been demoted or have been fired from this administration. The Nazis did this. Russia did this. They've warned us about all this. People, this is why education is so important. I understand that education is expensive. That's been by design too, right? I think we need to ask our educational institutions to start being more realistic of what they're charging. Do we need to give a $50 million salary to every college football coach in America? I don't think so, Robert. I think you can find a damn good football coach for $1 million. Yep. And so, I think it's those kinds of things that we have to consider and look at, what is the greater good, and start making our educational institutions about serving the community, serving where they're at, and making it accessible for all, so that we can. So it's like Paul Wellstone says, when we all do better, we all do better.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you hit it right on the nose there. It's jealousy and things like that, getting rid of the DEI and all these things that they came in and did the first 3 months, and then they tore down all the federal offices that could convict these people for doing what they're doing, and it's not even behind closed doors anymore. They've enriched themselves, and again, we get a landslide here. We need to prosecute these people, period.
I absolutely agree with you, Robert. I don't think that the Democrats or let the moderates have their voice, in this decision anymore. We've trusted the moderates. Look at where it's gotten us. It's gotten us Trump. It's gotten us the far right. It's gotten us MAGA. It's gotten these people that can come out and have to go and do the type of disruptive activities like you saw last week on Saturday in Minneapolis. Robert, I think you were there, right?
No, that was crazy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was wild. And so, I mean, it's those kinds of things that, that this administration and this president has emboldened. And these aren't the values of our country. This isn't the values of what this country has fought for. I mean, I see these posts all the time, and they talk about how our grandparents would be rolling in their grave right now after what they went overseas to fight for, and to fight against. And here we are allowing it to take place and take root in our country. And, this is just wrong.
We're going to take a quick break. We're here with Bob Blake from our friends from Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports. One of the things too, it's an amazing thing, that what we're going through here right now. And I just got to say, it's good to hear you talk about this, and our other guests really appreciate it. And let's make things happen, and let's talk in a good way. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. We're going to be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. Ho-wah.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Fair fun starts on Metro Transit. Instead of driving, park your car for free at one of 6 express bus sites and take a nonstop air-conditioned ride straight to the Minnesota State Fair. Or take one of the 3 regular bus routes that serve the fairgrounds. Learn more at metrotransit.org/state-fair. That's metrotransit.org/state-fair.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation. Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. The Minnesota State Fair is packed with 12 days of fun with food, rides, shows, and so much more. And right in the middle of it all, you'll find indigenous voices making an impact. Visit with Native authors and mathematicians, watch drum groups, hear presentations, enjoy music, and see our stories uplifted across the fairgrounds. It's all included with your state fair admission. Tickets are just $17 through August 26th at mnstatefair.org. That's the Minnesota State Fair, August 27th through September 7th.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
In this portion of the show, we like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, we're here with Bob Blake, the Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports. Bob, you're Bear Clan, aren't you?
I am Bear Clan, and that's why I named my company Solar Bear, because it was in respect to my mother's clan.
Yeah. Well, we got a little roar there from the bear, Wendy the bear, so that was fun to join in. A lot to talk about, and I really appreciate you coming on. Are you going to be at the fair this year?
I'm going to be at the fair this year. Please, everyone, stop by the Eco Experience building. It's on Cosgrove Street. We are going to have the Native Sun Enterprise Energy electric e-boat out front. So as you're entering the Eco Experience, you can see our e-boat, our electric boat. And then as you walk towards the back, towards the left there, you are going to see the tiny home with the solar thermal on the side of it that is put on by the boys at 8th Fire Solar, Gway Gasco and the team there, who are doing an amazing job. And I'm so proud of these young men, Robert, these young native men from the White Earth Nation. They said this is all they want to do. They said, all we want to do, Bob, is install solar thermals, solar panels with our lives. And I'm just so proud of these boys and the work they do, and so excited that they'll be out there at the State Fair. But come check that out. It's going to be really exciting.
That is exciting. I'm glad you were able to plug that. We're going to be, at the West End Market again. And also, I don't know if you know this, but Keith Sicola and Gary Farmer are going to be playing, Monday and Tuesday at 8 p.m. right basically behind our booth at the West End Market. So that's always packed and always fun. So maybe I'll see you down there.
Oh, I'm definitely going to be there, Robert. And it's really going to be exciting to have Keith and those guys there. Yeah. Hey, Robert, I got one more story that I want to share with you all. And it's currently kind of making its rounds around social media right now. But there was an individual who went out and took a picture of some of the water tributaries or water connections that are going into the Colorado River. And what's happening, Robert, is the Colorado River is like really, really low. And it's really never been this low. And what's happening is that it's affecting the Hoover Dam now. Okay. And this is what provides energy to a lot of the communities out there in the Southwest. And the other part about this, Robert, is they're looking at a heat dome happening with record temperatures that are going to be happening out in the Phoenix area in this particular area. But what's very troubling about this video is it's showing all these fish that are essentially dying because of the heat that is coming down.
Lack of oxygen too.
Yep. And so this is where, the Solar Bear has been really advocating for solar canals, where we could put solar on top of these canals, and we can also produce energy while saving water from evaporating, and then the fish population and the animal population. So I would really like our leaders to really consider this. I've been talking about this for a couple of years now, but I think it's getting into crisis level. I don't think that everyone thought that this was going to happen this quickly, this fast. I think it's also astonishing scientists right now, but we have to do this now, because otherwise it's going to affect all life, including humans.
Yeah, that dam that makes the lake is the lowest it's ever been. You're right. And it's hard though, Bob, when people build in a desert, where there's no water. It's crazy thinking about it.
Well, and that's why, you have a city like Las Vegas and you have a city like Phoenix, right? And what happened, Robert, was there is these water rights from the Colorado River, and there's junior rights and there's senior rights is what they kind of call it. And Phoenix has senior rights, okay, to this water supply. Well, Las Vegas has junior rights, but you know what Las Vegas did? They decided that because they had junior rights, they were going to build out their water infrastructure. They were going to reuse, they were going to recycle, they were going to do everything they can to conserve their water right there in Las Vegas. So consequently now, fast forward to this catastrophe, this impending catastrophe, Phoenix is looking like they're going to go dry, and Las Vegas is looking like they're going to be just fine because they actually put money into their infrastructure to handle this very problem. So,
wow.
Yep, and this is what a lot of these folks in the Southwest are now going to have to deal with it. So my advice, so the Solar Bear's advice to everyone is to be able to look at what Las Vegas is doing and how they're recycling and how they're using their water. They've put in, instead of putting in lawns, they've told people to use rocks for their lawns. This was over a decade of planning that they did this, and then a decade of implementing. So the last 20 years they've been doing this work, Robert, and Phoenix is just like, hey, water your lawn. And consequently, this is what's happening. And Vegas is planning about how they expand their neighborhoods, how they put new housing in, is a lot more like planned out, as opposed to Phoenix, where they're just like, let's go build another establishment. Let's build another one. Let's build another one. And so, this is all coming to a head right now. And I think Las Vegas is looking like the smart cookie of the bunch out there.
Wow, great update, because I had no idea. And I know there's farmers that need the water, and all these other organizations, not just these cities, but there's farmers that aren't getting the water now, and so it's a catastrophe out there. And I cringe here in Minnesota and Wisconsin when I see somebody watering their grass, because it's just like, hey, we're running low here, and you're watering your grass. I just shake my head.
Yep. And Robert, I before we start to the sports here real quick, I just want to make a public service announcement here. The Postal Service is telling Americans to give every ballot 14 days round trip. Okay, so we're saying like the voting date is November 3rd, right? Everyone, let's just pretend the election day is October 20th, just because we don't want any, question about your vote being counted. So if you have to vote by mail, and please, if you can get to the ballot place, the precinct, better yet, okay? But I know that this is impossible for some people. So if this is the case, everyone, please make sure that your vote is in the mail by the very latest, Robert, October 20th, okay? And then if you can, please get to the polls before November 3rd. Guys, this is a very important election, everyone. The Solar Bear is all over this and will be at the polls, casting his vote in person. But this is very important that we show up and we show out and we take back our democracy.
Hey, I know our Wisconsin fans are wondering about this. We only got a minute left. Update on the Vikings. Oh my gosh.
The Vikings. The Vikings are looking awesome this year. The Twins are making a run for the wild card, Robert. Yes. And the Minnesota Lynx are on their way, marching down to a championship. That is the Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports.
Wow, Bob, thanks a lot. As always, really appreciate you and your insight and updates about what's happening around Turtle Island and beyond with our solar and our renewable energies and our situation. So a big peeny gigi, Bob. Thanks for coming on. Bob's waving, even though this is radio, Bob's waving there. So everyone on the radio, Bob is waving. Hey, we'll see everybody at the state fair. Look for Bob Blake and look for Native Roots Trading Post. We'll see you tomorrow at the fair. Ho!
Culture